The bathroom walls in our old Massachusetts house were paper thin, built back when privacy was a luxury nobody thought they needed. At 3 in the morning, lying in bed with insomnia eating at my brain like acid, I could hear every drip from the faucet, every creak of the floorboards, every whispered conversation my wife Erica thought was private. That's how I found out my marriage was a joke. My name is Nick Garrison, and I'm a building inspector for the city of Millbrook, a job that taught me how to spot structural problems before they bring the whole house down. Too bad I wasn't better at spotting the rot in my own foundation. The first voice I heard through that thin wall was definitely Erica's, all breathy and excited in a way I hadn't heard in years. The second voice made my blood turn to ice water. God, Nick's such a loser, the male voice whispered, still wearing those same work boots from 10 years ago. Chad Marston, Chaz to his friends, my wife's co-worker at Pinnacle Recruiting, where she worked as an HR headhunter. The guy who drove that cherry red 1967 Mustang like it was his firstborn child, and treated everyone else like they were beneath him. Shh, Erica giggled. He might hear. So what if he does? What's he gonna do? Write us a building code violation? They both laughed at that. The sound cut through me like a rusty blade. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, hands shaking as I started recording. 23 years of marriage, and this is what it came down to. Collecting evidence in my own bathroom at 3 in the morning. The sounds that followed made me want to put my fist through the wall. Instead, I sat there in the dark, listening to my wife betray everything we'd built together, while her lover mocked me like I was some kind of pathetic joke. Nick's so clueless, Chaz whispered between heavy breaths. Thinks you're working late all those nights. He believes whatever I tell him, Erica replied. Always has. It's almost too easy. The recording app on my phone showed 12 minutes when they finally finished. 12 minutes of my life turning to ash while I sat there like an idiot, documenting my own humiliation. I heard the bathroom door creak open, then footsteps padding down the hallway toward the back door. Chaz was sneaking out the same way he'd probably snuck in, through our kitchen, past the family photos on the refrigerator, past the coffee mug I'd left out for morning that read "World's Okayest Husband." Turns out I wasn't even that. I waited another 5 minutes, then got up and walked to the bathroom. The door was closed, but I could hear Erica moving around inside, probably cleaning up the evidence. The shower turned on. That's when something inside me snapped. I didn't knock. I didn't announce myself. I just turned the handle and walked in. Erica shrieked, grabbing a towel to cover herself. Nick, what are you doing? Funny question, I said, holding up my phone. I was about to ask you the same thing. Her face went white. I don't know what you think you heard. I heard everything. I hit play on the recording. Her own voice filled the steamy bathroom. He believes whatever I tell him. Always has. Erica's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Nick, I can explain. Explain what? How long you've been screwing Chaz in our bathroom? How many nights you came home and kissed me with his taste still in your mouth? Or maybe you want to explain how I'm such a loser for wearing the same work boots that paid for this house. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stepped closer, and she backed against the shower door. What I don't understand is why you didn't just leave. Why the games? Why the lies? Because, she struggled for words, because I didn't want to hurt you. Right, much better to just humiliate me instead. The front door slammed. Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. Dad? Mom? What's going on? Our 16-year-old son Liam appeared in the doorway, his hair sticking up from sleep. Why are you guys yelling? Mirica immediately switched into victim mode. Your father barged in here while I was showering. He's acting crazy. Crazy? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Kid, your mother's been having an affair. I caught her red-handed. That's not true. Erica's voice cracked. Liam, don't listen to him. He's having some kind of breakdown. But Liam wasn't looking at her. He was looking at me, and his expression was strange. Not shocked, not surprised, just tired. I know, Dad, he said quietly. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. You know, the walls are thin. I've been hearing them for months. Liam's voice was flat, emotionless. I kept hoping you'd figure it out. Mirica's face crumpled. Liam, honey, don't. He held up his hand. Just don't. That's when I heard the back door creak open again. Footsteps in the kitchen. Chaz had come back, probably for his car keys or his dignity, though he'd lost the latter a long time ago. I pushed past Erica and Liam, marching down the hallway with 15 years of suppressed rage, finally finding its target. Chaz was in our kitchen, fully dressed now, rifling through his jacket pockets. "Looking for something?" I asked. He spun around, and I got my first good look at the man who'd been destroying my marriage. Chad Marston was everything I wasn't, 6'2", gym sculpted, with perfect teeth and hair that probably cost more to maintain than my monthly grocery budget. He wore a leather jacket that screamed midlife crisis and jeans tight enough to cut off circulation. "Nick." He tried to smile, but it came out more like a grimace. "Hey, buddy, this isn't what it looks like." "Really? Because it looks like you've been screwing my wife in my bathroom while my son listened through the walls." His fake smile disappeared. "Look, man, these things happen. Erica and I, we have a connection. It's nothing personal." "Nothing personal?" I stepped closer. "You've been in my house. You've been with my wife. You mocked me while you did it. How is that not personal? Because you're not even a real factor here." The mask slipped completely, revealing the arrogant bastard underneath. "Erica's way out of your league, Nick. She always has been. I'm just helping her realize what she's been missing." That's when I grabbed him. "I'm not a violent man. Never have been. But 23 years of marriage, 16 years of fatherhood, and a lifetime of playing by the rules had just been flushed down the drain by this leather-jacketed parasite who thought he could waltz into my home and take whatever he wanted." I grabbed Chaz by the front of his precious jacket and slammed him against our refrigerator. Family photos scattered to the floor. The world's okayest husband mug shattered. "Get out," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Get out of my house and stay away from my family." "You're crazy," he gasped, but I could smell the fear on him now. "You can't just—" I slapped him, not hard enough to cause real damage, but hard enough to wipe that smug expression off his face. I said get out. "Dad, stop." Liam's voice cut through my rage. "The neighbors are going to call the cops," but it was too late. Through the kitchen window, I could see Mrs. Patterson from next door on her phone, probably already dialing 911. Red and blue lights were going to be here any minute. Chaz straightened his jacket and headed for the door, but he couldn't resist one last shot. "This isn't over, Nick. Erica's coming with me. We're in love." "No," Erica said from behind me. She'd thrown on a robe and was standing in the kitchen doorway, her face streaked with tears. "Chaz, not like this. Not now." "What do you mean, not now?" His voice went high and whiny. "You said you were ready to leave him." "I need time to think." "Time to think?" Chaz's perfect composure finally cracked. "I've been waiting for months while you played house with this loser. I'm done waiting." And just like that, I saw him for what he really was. Not some sophisticated homewrecker, but a petulant child who'd never been told no. The kind of man who'd seduce another man's wife, but run at the first sign of real consequences. "Get out," I repeated. This time, he went. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Officer Riley looked like he'd rather be anywhere else than my kitchen at 4 in the morning, dealing with a domestic situation that probably happened 3 times a week in Millbrook. He was young, maybe late 20s, with the kind of mustache that suggested he took his job seriously, but hadn't been doing it long enough to get cynical. "So let me get this straight," he said, flipping through his notepad. "You assaulted Mr. Marston because you believed he was having an affair with your wife." "I didn't assault anybody. I pushed him and slapped him once. There's a difference." "Not in the eyes of the law, Mr. Garrison." Erica sat at our kitchen table in her bathrobe, dabbing at her eyes with tissues. She'd called Chaz's cell phone 4 times while we waited for the police, but he wasn't answering. Apparently, love didn't extend to providing moral support during criminal investigations. "My husband has been acting erratic lately," she told Officer Riley. "Paranoid, suspicious. I think he needs help." "That's rich, coming from you," I muttered. "Mr. Garrison," Officer Riley warned, "I need you to remain calm." "Calm? My wife's been cheating on me for months. My son's been traumatized by listening to it, and she's sitting there playing the victim. How calm would you be?" Liam sat on the living room couch, staring at his phone and pretending not to listen. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he flinched every time voices got raised. This was going to mess him up for years. "Dad was defending our family," Liam said suddenly. "That guy has been coming here for weeks. I've seen his car in our driveway." Officer Riley looked at Erica. "Is that true, ma'am?" "Chad is a coworker. Sometimes he gives me rides home when my car's in the shop." "At 3 in the morning?" I asked. "We work late sometimes." "Doing what? Each other?" "Mr. Garrison." Officer Riley's patience was wearing thin. "One more outburst and you're coming with me." But Liam wasn't done. Officer, my dad didn't start this. He just finished it. That guy's been disrespecting our family for months. Son, I appreciate you wanting to defend your father, but assault is assault, regardless of the circumstances. That's when Erica made her mistake. Liam doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a child. He imagines things. Liam's head snapped up. I imagine things? I imagine hearing you and Chaz in the bathroom every Thursday night. I imagine you laughing about Dad while you're… Liam, stop. Erica's mask slipped for just a second, and Officer Riley caught it. Ma'am, are you saying these allegations are false? I'm saying my husband is paranoid and my son is confused. But the damage was done. Officer Riley had been doing this job long enough to recognize truth when he heard it, even from a 16-year-old kid who'd been forced to grow up too fast. Mr. Garrison, I'm going to need you to come with me. Are you arresting me? I'm taking you in for questioning. Mr. Marston wants to press charges for assault. Of course he did. Couldn't take a slap like a man. Had to go crying to the law. I should have expected as much from someone who'd sneak around behind a husband's back but wouldn't face him directly. Can I call a lawyer? You can call whoever you want once we get to the station. I looked at Liam as Officer Riley cuffed me. Take care of yourself, kid. Don't believe everything she tells you. I won't, Dad. The ride to the police station gave me time to think. 23 years of marriage, and it had come to this, sitting in the back of a patrol car while my wife played victim and my son tried to hold our family together with nothing but truth and teenage stubbornness. But I wasn't beaten yet, not by a long shot. The holding cell smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. I'd been in worse places during my army days, but never as a criminal. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent my career making sure buildings were safe and up to code, and now I was locked up for trying to protect my own home. First time? Asked my cellmate. A grizzled old drunk who looked like he'd been through this routine before. Yeah. Domestic? Something like that. Word of advice. Get a good lawyer. The system doesn't care about your side of the story. It only cares about what they can prove. Smart advice from an unlikely source. I used my phone call to contact Donna Larkin, a divorce attorney I'd heard about through the construction grapevine. She had a reputation for being ruthless in court and expensive as hell. But if I was going to war, I wanted the best weapon I could find. Mr. Garrison, this is Donna Larkin. I understand you're in a bit of trouble. Her voice was crisp, professional, with just a hint of predatory satisfaction, like a shark that had just caught the scent of blood in the water. My wife's been having an affair. I confronted the guy, things got physical. Now I'm sitting in jail while she plays the innocent victim. How physical? I pushed him against a refrigerator and slapped him once. Any witnesses? My 16-year-old son. He's been aware of the affair for months. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Interesting. Mr. Garrison, I'm going to get you out of there, and then we're going to have a very long conversation about your options. What kind of options? The kind that turn victims into victors. I'll see you in an hour. Donna Larkin was everything I'd expected and more. Mid-40s, sharp-dressed, with the kind of smile that suggested she enjoyed her work a little too much. She walked into that police station like she owned the place, and within 30 minutes, I was walking out on bail. Coffee? She asked as we left the building. It's 5 in the morning. Perfect time for coffee and strategy. We ended up at an all-night diner on Route 9, sitting across from each other in a red vinyl booth that had seen better decades. Donna ordered black coffee and a blueberry muffin. I wasn't hungry. Tell me everything, she said, pulling out a legal pad. Start from the beginning, and don't leave out any details. I need to know exactly what we're working with. I told her about the bathroom walls, the recording, the confrontation with Chaz, Liam's testimony. She took notes without looking up, occasionally asking for clarification or specific dates. How long do you think this affair has been going on? Liam said months. Based on what I heard, I'd guess at least 6. And your wife works with this man? Same office. Pinnacle Recruiting on Main Street. Convenient. She looked up from her notes. Mr. Garrison, I'm going to be direct with you. Your wife and her lover made a serious mistake by involving your son. Family courts don't look kindly on parents who expose their children to adult situations. What are you saying? I'm saying we're not just going to defend against these assault charges. We're going to go on the offensive. Divorce, custody, asset division, the whole 9 yards. By the time I'm done, your wife will be lucky to keep her toothbrush. Can you do that? Donna's smile was all teeth and no warmth. Mr. Garrison, I've been practicing family law for 20 years. I've seen cheating spouses try every trick in the book to come out ahead. Your wife made the classic mistake. She got greedy. She wanted her marriage and her affair, and she was willing to traumatize her own child to have both. So what's our next move? First, we get these assault charges dropped. Your son's testimony will be crucial there. He's a witness to the ongoing affair and can testify that you were defending your family. Second, we file for divorce and full custody. Third, we destroy her credibility in court. How? Leave that to me. I have ways of making cheating spouses very uncomfortable under oath. I believed her. There was something in Donna's eyes that reminded me of a hunting cat. Patient, focused, and absolutely lethal when the moment was right. There's one more thing, I said. I want revenge. Mr. Garrison, the best revenge is living well. No, I said firmly. The best revenge is making sure they pay for what they've done. Both of them. Donna studied me for a long moment. What did you have in mind? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Just remember, anything you do has to be legal. I can defend you against a lot of things, but I can't work miracles. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything stupid. Good, because we're going to win this case, Mr. Garrison. And when we're done, your wife and her boyfriend are going to wish they'd never heard your name. As I drove home in the early morning light, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not just hope for survival, but hope for victory. Erica and Chase had started this war, but they'd picked the wrong enemy. The walls in my house were thin, but they'd been strong enough to carry the truth. And the truth, as I was about to learn, was a weapon more powerful than any fist. The courthouse in Millbrook was built in 1923, back when they constructed public buildings to last and to intimidate. High ceilings, marble floors, and the kind of echoing acoustics that made every whisper sound like a confession. Walking through those doors 3 weeks after my arrest, I felt like I was entering a gladiatorial arena. Donna had been busy during those 3 weeks. She'd interviewed Liam twice, obtained phone records, and somehow managed to get copies of Erica's work emails from Pinnacle Recruiting. I didn't ask how. Your wife's been sloppy, Donna told me as we sat in the hallway outside family court. 17 emails to Chad Marston in the past month, including 3 sent during work hours that have nothing to do with business. What kind of emails? The kind that prove premeditation and ongoing deception. My favorite is from 2 weeks ago. Can't wait for Thursday. Nick's working late again. We'll have the whole house to ourselves. The assault charges had been dropped after Liam's testimony convinced the prosecutor that I'd acted in defense of my family. Chaz hadn't been happy about it, but his lawyer had advised him to let it go, rather than risk having his affair become public record. Too late for that now. Mr. and Mrs. Garrison, we're ready for you. Judge Patricia Hendricks was in her 60s, with silver hair and the no-nonsense demeanor of someone who'd seen every possible variation of human stupidity. She'd been on the family court bench for 15 years, and according to Donna, she had zero tolerance for cheating spouses who put their children at risk. This is a hearing to determine temporary custody of the minor child, Liam Garrison, age 16, and to address the petition for divorce filed by Nicholas Garrison against Erica Garrison. Erica sat at the defendant's table with her lawyer, a nervous-looking man named Stevens, who kept shuffling through papers like he was looking for a miracle. She dressed conservatively for court, navy blue suit, minimal makeup, hair pulled back in a professional bun. The grieving wife routine. It might have worked on someone who didn't know the truth. Your Honor, Donna began, my client is seeking full custody of his minor son and dissolution of his marriage based on adultery, emotional cruelty, and child endangerment. Child endangerment? Judge Hendricks raised an eyebrow. Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Garrison has been conducting an extramarital affair in the family home, in circumstances where her 16-year-old son was aware of and traumatized by her activities. Stevens jumped up. Objection, Your Honor. There's no evidence of child endangerment. Sit down, Mr. Stevens. This is a hearing, not a trial. Miss Larkin, present your evidence. Donna was in her element. She presented the email evidence, the phone records, and most damaging of all, a psychological evaluation of Liam conducted by Dr. Steve O'Connell, a child psychologist with 30 years of experience. Dr. O'Connell's report indicates that the minor child has been suffering from anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances directly related to his mother's extramarital activities. The child reports feeling trapped and disgusted by what he was forced to witness in his own home. Judge Hendricks read through the psychological report, her expression growing darker with each page. Mr. Stevens, how does your client respond to these allegations? Stevens looked like he wanted to disappear. Your Honor, my client admits to having made some poor personal choices, but she maintains that her son was never directly exposed to inappropriate behavior. Never directly exposed. Donna's voice dripped with incredulity. Your Honor, I'd like to call Liam Garrison to testify. My son walked to the witness stand with his head held high. 3 weeks of therapy with Dr. O'Connell had helped him process what he'd been through, but I could still see the pain in his eyes. Liam, Donna said gently, I know this is difficult, but I need you to tell the judge what you experienced in your home. Liam took a deep breath. I could hear them through the bathroom wall. My mom and Mr. Marston. They would be together, and they would talk about my dad like he was stupid. How often did this happen? Every Thursday night for about 4 months. Sometimes other nights too. Did you ever tell your mother you could hear them? Once. I asked her to be quieter because I was trying to sleep. She just laughed and said I was imagining things. Judge Hendricks leaned forward. She laughed. Yes, ma'am. She said the walls weren't that thin, and I should mind my own business. Erica's face had gone pale. Stevens was frantically scribbling notes, probably trying to figure out how to salvage the unsalvageable. Liam, Donna continued, how did this situation make you feel? Angry, sad, like I couldn't trust my own mother anymore. I kept hoping my dad would figure it out because I didn't want to be the one to tell him. And how do you feel about living with your mother now? I don't want to. She lied to everyone, including me. She hurt my dad, and she didn't care that I knew about it. Stevens tried to cross-examine, but there wasn't much he could do. Liam's testimony was clear, consistent, and devastating. A 16-year-old boy, forced to listen to his mother's affair while she mocked his father, was exactly the kind of situation family courts were designed to prevent. Your Honor, Stevens said desperately, my client is willing to attend counseling and take whatever steps necessary to repair her relationship with her son. Judge Hendricks looked at Liam. Young man, would you be willing to live with your mother if she attended counseling? No, ma'am. I don't trust her anymore. That was it. Game over. Based on the evidence presented and the testimony of the minor child, I'm granting temporary full custody to Nicholas Garrison. Mrs. Garrison will be allowed supervised visitation once per week, contingent on her completion of family counseling. Erica started crying. Real tears this time, not the crocodile tears she'd been using for weeks. The reality of losing her son was finally hitting her, but Judge Hendricks wasn't done. Furthermore, I'm ordering a complete financial disclosure from both parties in preparation for the divorce proceedings. Mrs. Garrison, I want to see every bank account, every credit card statement, and every asset you've acquired during this marriage. Your Honor, Stevens protested, that seems excessive. Mr. Stevens, your client conducted an extramarital affair that traumatized her child and destroyed her family. She's lucky I'm not holding her in contempt for child endangerment. The financial disclosure stands. As we left the courthouse, Donna was practically glowing with satisfaction. That went better than I hoped. Judge Hendricks hates cheating parents, and your son's testimony was perfect. What happens now? Now we destroy her financially. The financial disclosure will show us exactly what assets she's been hiding, and I guarantee she's been hiding some. Cheating spouses always are. And Chaz? What about him? He's just going to walk away from this? No consequences? Donna stopped walking and looked at me seriously. Mr. Garrison, I can help you win in court, but I can't help you get revenge outside of it. Whatever you're thinking about doing to Chad Marston, make sure it's legal. Don't worry. I'm not going to do anything that will hurt our case. Good. Because we're winning, and I'd hate to see you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. That evening, Liam and I sat in our kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd confronted Chaz 3 weeks earlier. We'd cleaned up the broken mug and rehung the family photos, but the memory of that night lingered like smoke. Dad, are you okay? I'm getting there, kid. How about you? Better. Dr. O'Connell says it's normal to feel angry about what Mom did. It is normal. What she did was wrong, and you have every right to be angry about it. Do you think she'll try to get custody back? She can try, but Judge Hendricks saw right through her act today. As long as you want to stay with me, you're staying with me. Liam nodded, then asked the question I'd been dreading. What about Mr. Marston? Is he going to get away with what he did? I thought about Donna's warning, about staying legal and not jeopardizing our court victory. But I also thought about Chaz's smug face, his mocking comments, his complete lack of remorse for destroying a family. Nobody gets away with anything forever, Liam. Sometimes justice takes time, but it always comes. Promise? I promise, and I meant it. The legal battle was almost over, and we were winning. But the war wasn't finished yet. Chaz Marston had humiliated me, seduced my wife, and traumatized my son. He thought he could walk away from that without consequences. He was wrong. The Broken Anchor was the kind of bar where Millbrook's working class came to forget their troubles and share their gossip. Violet Vi Pender had been tending bar there for 20 years, and she knew more about this town's secrets than the police, the mayor, and the parish priest combined. Heard you gave that Marston boy what for, Vi said, as she slid a beer across the scarred wooden bar. About time somebody put him in his place. News travels fast. Honey, in a town this size, news travels at the speed of light. That boy's been strutting around here like he owns the place ever since he bought that fancy car, the 1967 Mustang. Chaz pride and joy, his baby, his most prized possession. He'd bought it 2 years ago and spent every weekend working on it, polishing it, showing it off at the local car shows. It was his identity, his manhood, his entire self-worth wrapped up in 289 cubic inches of Detroit steel. Must be worth a fortune, I said casually. 40,000, if you believe what he tells everyone. Restored it himself, or so he claims. Treats that car better than most men treat their wives. Interesting. Vi, you know everything that happens in this town. What's Chaz's routine? Where does he go? What does he do? Vi studied me with eyes that had seen too much to be easily fooled. Nick Garrison, what are you planning? Nothing illegal. I just want to know my enemy. Your enemy? Vi laughed, a harsh sound like gravel in a blender. Honey, that boy ain't your enemy. He's a pest, a mosquito. You don't declare war on mosquitoes, you swat them. So tell me how to swat him. Vi considered this while she wiped down glasses with a bar towel that had seen better decades. Every Thursday, he takes that car to Miller's Overlook, parks at the bottom of the hill, eats his lunch, admires the view, thinks he's some kind of romantic hero from a movie. Miller's Overlook. I knew the place, a scenic spot about 5 miles outside town, where teenagers went to park and young couples went to watch sunsets. The road up to the overlook was steep and winding, with a sharp drop-off on one side and a guardrail that had seen better days. He goes there alone? Far as I know. Been doing it every Thursday since your wife, well, since things changed. Probably mourning his lost love affair, the poor baby. Vi, hypothetically speaking, if someone wanted to teach Chaz a lesson about respecting other people's families, what would be the most effective approach? Hypothetically. Vi's eyes gleamed with mischief. I'd say hit him where it hurts most. That car is his whole identity. Take that away, and you take away everything he thinks makes him special. Hypothetically. Hypothetically. I finished my beer and left a $10 tip. Vi had just given me the key to destroying Chad Marston, and information like that was worth its weight in gold. The next morning, I drove out to Miller's Overlook to scout the terrain. The road was exactly as I remembered, steep, narrow, with several sharp turns and a scenic parking area at the top. At the bottom of the hill, there was a small pullout where Chaz apparently parked for his weekly pity parties. I studied the geography with a building inspector's eye for structural vulnerabilities. The hill was steep enough that a vehicle could build up serious momentum on the way down. The pullout at the bottom was positioned perfectly to catch anything that might lose its brakes at the wrong moment. All I needed was the right vehicle and the right timing. I spent the next week researching Chaz's routine. Vi had been right. Every Thursday at noon, he drove his precious Mustang to Miller's Overlook, parked at the bottom, and spent an hour eating lunch and staring at the scenery, probably composing mental poetry about his lost love, or planning his next home-wrecking campaign. The plan that formed in my mind was elegant in its simplicity. I would need an old vehicle, something heavy and expendable. I would need to position it at the top of the hill at exactly the right moment. And I would need to make sure Chaz got a front-row seat to watch his beloved car get turned into scrap metal. It took me 3 days to find the right vehicle, a 1995 Ford van that had been sitting in old Pete Morrison's junkyard for 2 years. Pete was happy to sell it to me for $500 cash, no questions asked, no paperwork required. What you planning to do with that old thing? Pete asked as I signed the title. Demolition project, I said, which wasn't technically a lie. The van ran, barely, but it had enough life left in it for one final mission. I spent Tuesday evening checking the brakes, the steering, and most importantly, the handbrake release mechanism. Everything had to work perfectly. Thursday morning arrived gray and overcast, with the kind of threatening sky that suggested rain before evening. Perfect weather for what I had planned. I drove the van to Miller's Overlook at 11:30, parking it at the top of the hill with its nose pointed down toward the pullout where Chaz would be parking in 30 minutes. Then I walked back down the hill and positioned myself behind a cluster of oak trees where I could watch the show. At exactly 12:05, the cherry red Mustang came growling up the access road. Chaz parked in his usual spot, got out, and leaned against the hood of his car with a sandwich and a bottle of water. He looked exactly like what he was, a middle-aged man, trying to recapture his youth with horsepower and chrome. I waited until he was completely settled, then climbed back up the hill to the van. The key was timing. I needed Chaz to see what was coming, but not have enough time to move his car out of the way. I released the handbrake and gave the van a gentle push to get it rolling. Gravity took over from there. The van picked up speed as it rolled down the hill, its momentum building with every foot of descent. By the time it reached the first curve, it was moving fast enough to make the old suspension groan and the tires squeal against the asphalt. Chaz looked up from his sandwich just as the van came around the final curve, bearing down on his parking spot like a runaway freight train. His face went through a series of expressions: confusion, recognition, and finally pure terror as he realized what was about to happen. He scrambled to get his keys out, to start the Mustang, to move it out of the path of destruction. But 40 years of physics and 5,000 pounds of rolling steel don't wait for anyone. The van hit the Mustang square in the driver's side door with a sound like